Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers, from the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. Today, Food, Part 7, from the Mother. This is the surest result. If one doesn't eat, one grows thin. So if one is too fat and wants to grow thin, it is a good means, but on condition that one doesn't pass the day thinking of food, because then, as soon as one stops his fast, he dashes for it and eats so much that he gets back all that he has lost. In fact, the best thing is not to think about it, but to regulate one's life automatically enough not to need to think of eating. You eat at fixed hours, eat reasonably. You don't even need to think of the food when you are taking it. You must eat calmly, that's all. Quietly, with concentration. And when you do not eat, you must never think about it. You must not eat too much, because then you will have to think about your digestion. And it will be very unpleasant for you, and will make you waste much time. You must put an end to all desire, all attraction, all movements of the vital. Because when you eat, simply because the body needs to eat, the body will tell you absolutely, precisely, and exactly when it has had enough. You see, when one is not moved by a vital desire or mental ideas, one grasps this with surety. Now it is enough, says the body. I don't want any more, so one stops. As soon as one has ideas or else desires in the vital, and there is, for instance, something that you like particularly, because you like it particularly, you eat 3 times too much of it. In fact, this may cure you to a certain extent, because if you don't have a very strong stomach, you get indigestion, and then after you have a disgust for the thing which has given you indigestion. Still, these are rather drastic means. One can make progress without having recourse to such means. The best is not to think about it. Of course, there are people who prepare food for themselves and for others, and who are obliged to think about it, but just a very little. One can prepare food while thinking about more interesting things. But in any case, the less one thinks about it, the better. And when one is not concerned with it, either mentally or vitally, the body becomes a very good indicator. When it is hungry, it will tell you. When it needs to take in something, it will tell you. When it has finished, when it doesn't need any more, it will tell you. And when it doesn't need food, it doesn't think about it. It thinks of something else. It is only the head which creates all the trouble. In fact, it is always the head which creates the trouble, because one doesn't know how to use it. If one knew how to use it, it could also create harmony. But it is something very strange that people always use their imagination for something bad. And it is very, very rarely that they use their imagination for the good. Instead of thinking happy things, which would help to keep them in balance and harmony, they always think of all the possible catastrophes, and so naturally they disturb the balance of their being. And into the bargain, if they are unfortunate enough to be afraid, they attract the catastrophes they fear. There we are. That's all? No questions? Good night, my children. Question. Sweet Mother, people often say that our food does not contain enough vitamins and protein. The doctors claim that this is why we have so much physical and bodily suffering. Is it really the cause? Does food have such an important place in life? Mother, for those whose consciousness is centered in the body, who live for the body, its desires and satisfactions, those for whom the truth begins and ends with the body, it is evident that food is of capital importance, since they live to eat. The doctors are always anxious to throw the responsibility for their incompetence to cure on the external conditions of life. If one wants to see the truth of the problem, it is this: only an enlightened body, balanced and free from all vital desire and mental preconception, is capable of knowing what it needs in regard to quantity and kind of food. And it is so exceptional to find such a body that we need not speak of it. Apart from that, one must act for the best and not attach too much importance to it.